Space, final frontier. These are the voyages of Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Hang on, I'm going to do the intro again. Anybody who's watching, apologies, but our recording wasn't set up right that time. So,
oh, no.
Yeah, we got to do his intro again. So hang on, you get to see the video one more time.
It wasn't me and Peoples, was it?
Could have been. Or it might have been that I didn't press the right button. We'll see.
Space, final frontier. These are the voyages of Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim, and with me, of course, is Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And we are on the season finale of Lower Decks, Season 2, First Contact. That season's gone really quick. I know it's only 10 episodes, but it's still been a really quick 10 weeks.
Yeah, it does seem like it's gone fast.
Yeah, it seems like only 2 minutes ago we were talking about Ransom and his giant head floating around, and now...
and now I'm down for Season 3.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it, but yeah, we've gone back old school with our season finales with this one, which is quite welcome, I think. A
big curveball, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's dig into it then. So, there's a lot of great stuff in this one. I'll put it up front. I think this might be probably the best one of the season.
Yeah, I think this is probably the best episode of Lower Decks, not just this season, out of the 2 seasons. I think this is probably the best one they've done. And I think this also, I think when we look back properly on this will be rated as one of those top Star Trek episodes.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we've got the space dock, so that's cool. Seeing space dock again, the classic space dock from the movies and TNG and everything. And we've got a refit Excelsior class. So
no, it's not.
Oh, is it?
It's
not?
a new class. No, it's an Abina class.
All right, I thought it was a Enterprise B style with new nacelles.
No, it's sort of like a generation thing, like. It ain't just a refit, it's a complete new class of ship, but it's sort of using the same sort of DNA, best way to put it.
Right, I didn't realise it was a new class of
ship. Yeah, it's an Abina class.
There we go. So that's a new one. No doubt you'll be able to buy the models of it and everything quite soon. Actually, is there a Cerritos kit yet?
No. There might be garage kits out there. People...
Yeah. There should be.
Yeah, I think there's probably a garage kit, and I know people want to build it, but
I'm gonna say
like they're only just getting around to releasing decent versions of the Grisham.
Right.
They're quite slow. A lot. Like, to be fair to Polar Lights, have been really good this last few years, but sort of like. How Star Trek models are released can be quite slow.
Yeah, we might have a little bit then for a Cerritos, but I don't even think Eagle must have done.
Like to be fair, Polar Lights did do the Discovery and the Shenzhou.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I've seen a Disco Prize.
Yeah, there's Disco Prizes out there as well. The Discovery is available in 2 different sizes.
There you go.
So they have made an effort over the last few years, but. Still waiting on the Cerritos.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we've got this new style as well then. And the captain of it is our old friend Sonia Gomez, which, if you said to me, which character do you think is going to be captain of a ship next episode? I think we'd have been here a long time before I said Sonia Gomez.
Yeah, she wouldn't have been... I'm not sure if we'd have even got down to saying Sonia Gomez. But like, it does make sense in a way. Like, what you say, this is 16 years after Next Gen.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we didn't see her after season 2, but we've got to assume that she stayed on board.
Yeah.
And following the Dominion War, there's got to be a lot of captains who normally maybe wouldn't be a captain by this point in the career.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're being rushed through. They'd maybe be a first or a second officers still.
Yeah, I mean the timeline totally works. There's plenty.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go by Kelvin timeline, how fast you can get promoted to captain there? I mean, she could have been captain by the end of season 2. But anyway, we won't get into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy with Sonia Gomez as a captain. Really good to see him pulling out a legacy character. I would like to see, and this goes generally just for Lower Decks generally, but there's a lot of references to DS9 characters. But let's see a DS9 character.
Yeah,
a DS9 character for ages.
Like, I'm wondering, like, we get Captain Freeman. She says, "My old friend Sonia Gomez." Now, there's been speculation, hasn't there, that she served on the Enterprise.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe. And Mariner's maybe come up through the Enterprise. The way that she knew Riker and that, oh yeah, get me contraband through him. And,
yeah.
And it does make you wonder if they're going to reveal at some point that she, like, Mariner maybe didn't serve on the Enterprise, but she maybe grew up on there.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, one day. We never know. So there's a good sort of through line in this episode with Jennifer, the Andorian, who we've talked about a couple of times, and it looked like they were setting her up as like this antagonist for Mariner, and that comes to a head in this one. But it starts off, and they have this chat, and she says like, "Oh, I know that you're my enemy, and you've got it." And she's like, "No, I don't even think about you at all." And,
yeah,
and that is something that you get. Like, everybody's got like that person at work who they're like, that guy hates me or that woman hates me, and you get it in your head that it's this big thing, and they probably don't even give you time of day.
Yeah, they hardly even notice you.
Yeah, it's kind of like we talked about a lot during the football tournament, Euro 2020, even though we're in 2021, how there's a big rivalry between the English and German football teams, but it's only from the English side.
Yeah.
Like, we see them as our nemesis, whereas the German
the Germans are bothered about the Dutch.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, well, you know, England are a decent team, but we don't give them that much thought. And it's kind of this way.
And like for us, it's all over the front pages and back pages. And
yeah. It's kind of like this with Mariner and Jennifer. These issues with her and everything. And it transpires. Hello? You've gone really... Oh, hang on. Are you back?
I think so. I can see me and I can hear you.
Working again. Sorry to anybody who's watching. We had a wee bit.
Yeah, to be fair, I've got a little circle on my screen. I think it's just signal problems.
Yeah, you just froze for a while.
Because we've got super fast Virgin broadband, honestly.
Don't say the name of the provider. If you discourage them, the connection gets worse.
Like I was saying,
He's gone again. No, just give us a sec. And again, sorry to anybody who's watching. Yep. There we go. No, you're still frozen. Still frozen. I'm just gonna check my internet connection. So again, not very exciting for anybody watching. Oh, hang on, you're moving again, Elliot. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Right. Yeah. What I was saying was, like, we have in the corridor, Mariner bumps into Jen, and she goes, "Oh, you've got to go grasp me up to ransom now, aren't you, about me contraband again? And
Yeah.
it's no wonder if she shouldn't have contraband, and Jenny's probably doing the right thing informing that she's got contraband.
Yeah, that's true.
But Mariner is taking this as that she's her arch enemy because of it.
Yeah, exactly. She's built up this thing in her head that's just not really there.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you didn't keep running into her with your contraband, you wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So all of this leads to Mariner finding out that Freeman's getting the promotion. So we'll give ourselves a tick for this one. We thought this were coming. And this makes up sort of a, not even really a B plot, but it's a thread that's running through the episode is Freeman's looks like she's got that promotion and she's going to a better ship and all of this stuff. And Mariner, being Mariner's, not very happy about it. And everyone kind of gets their own little storyline this episode. Like Rutherford's got this thing with his implant playing up.
Yeah, now that's going to come. There's got to be a lot more reveal on that in season 3.
Definitely. It's definitely setting up a longer term.
Yeah, like that looks like someone's using his implant to spy. A bit like what happened with Geordie when he went to that seminar and they did him with his visor, didn't they? And then again, the Klingons did it in Generations again with his visor.
Bit of a liability, these implants and stuff. Of it. But yeah, what leads to it all is this thing of he's getting these warning signs that are like whacked over the screen so he can't actually see anything. Which is the storyline's quite reminiscent of what we saw with Arian in that one episode that was about Arian before she died, where we find out that she has to manually save all the memories and everything. Yeah,
but it turns out like his is so full because he's making triplicates of everything so he don't forget Tandy again.
Yeah, he's backing up his backups. He doesn't actually do it. But the visual's quite funny how the warnings keep stacking up on top of each other.
Like Billups comes out, says it right to him. He goes, "If you can't make new memories of her, what's the point? You don't need to be storing all this."
Yeah, and Boimler's got his thing is he's preparing for Captain Freeman Day, which is obviously a play on Captain Picard Day, but he's
like
for it.
Like he keeps going, he does, doesn't he? He goes, "What are you doing for Captain Freeman Day?" And like Mariner's right, she goes, "It's for the kids." And I don't agree with it either because it's to teach them to respect authority figures.
And even the whales are like, "No, it's for calves." No, they're not impressed either.
But he's done exactly the same banner that was done for Captain Picard.
Somehow he's managed to recreate it perfectly. There's a really good sort of deep cut reference where they're talking about if we're going to get a new captain, and Mariner says, "Oh, we could get a weirdo with a riding crop," which is the guy from Star Trek 3 who had that. For no reason, he just had this little baton. Love it. Really good reference. And Mariner decides the best way to derail it is just to go gossiping with the senior staff, and that'll
and then they get all pissed off as well, don't they? Because she hasn't told them yet.
So it works. Mariner was right. She pulled it off. That's what she wanted to do, and she got away with it. And then Tendy's plot is that she sees Dr. Tana deleting a file and she thinks she's getting the sack, basically.
Yeah, and like this is sort of played on as well because you do see Dr. Tandy talking to another officer that we haven't seen previously going, she's not right for medical.
Yeah, which obviously we know what it turns out to mean, but you can totally see why Tendy thinks. So it's good that all 4 of our main cast have all got their own little storyline in there. I think probably the one that's least substantial is Boimler and his Captain Freeman Day. But I think he gets a good moment later on, but I think they're using Boimler as the most sort of comedic relief character in this episode. whereas the rest of them have got quite weighty storylines, really. And you get a really good. You're saying about the senior staff not being happy. Billups has like a massive sweary outburst because he's happy about it.
But it's dragon blood. It's all fantasy. It's swear words.
Yes, yeah. And
which we've seen his culture now, haven't we? Previously,
yeah,
so
yeah, you're right. When he says dragon blood, he's like, yeah, like he's swearing, isn't it? I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And Ransom thinks he's going to get promoted, and then he's not happy to find out that he isn't going to be.
Yeah, they're bringing someone new, but that's never mentioned who it was going to be. Because
No.
I don't think for 1 minute that Captain Freeman is going to be gone.
I think what they wanted you to do was start speculating who's it going to be, and I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd have finished with a gag that they get someone like Jellicoe or something comes on, and everybody's just like, oh. So, but they did something much better at the end of the episode. But it's playing on that trope of you can replace the captain, and a bit like Discovery, we've had a different captain
every season
for 4 seasons. So, for 3, but then it will be 4. So,
it will be 4.
Yeah, so it's playing on that, and you're thinking, oh, is it going to be someone else coming in? But we'll get to the cliffhanger in a little while. There's some cool stuff, like there's a thing with Gomez where someone falls over on the bridge, and she's like, oh, I've done much worse. And that's obviously where she spilled the
coffee straight over Picard.
Yeah,
well, hot chocolate, wasn't it?
Yeah, hot chocolate on Picard, and she's like,
no. Yeah, which I still don't think that's very safe, having hot chocolate around the engineering consoles.
No, but I mean, have you seen that picture that's been doing the rounds on Facebook recently? It's a bit where Geordie and Data test a phaser. And in the direction of the warp car, it's like
Data stands behind it.
Yeah, like,
where it's shooting. It's leant over.
Yeah. Not sure that's the best place to be testing a phaser data, but whatever floats your boat. And yeah, the big thing then, the main sort of incident of the episode, the Archimedes there's like an explosion basically, isn't there?
Yeah, there's an unstable planetoid in orbit around this planet. They're going to, well, the Archimedes is doing first contact, and the Cerritos is literally going with them to arrive straight after for second contact.
Yeah. And it ends up with, it's almost like a visual call back to Star Trek 6, because you've got this ship that looks like an Excelsior class ship, and something blows up and makes a big shockwave, and the ship gets spinning. And so visually we're going there a little bit. And it ends up with the Cerritos has got to come together, and they've got to save the day.
Well, before that, we have Captain Freeman decides she's going to go do it herself in the captain's yacht.
Yeah, in the captain's yacht.
So we find out the Cerritos has a captain's yacht.
Yeah, which is pretty cool to say it's not one of the big ships.
Yeah.
I mean, we rarely...
To be fair, Voyager had its aerial shuttle, so maybe it is a feature that they have.
It sounds
they have on every ship.
The Enterprise E had a captain's yacht, didn't they? So
yeah, so did the D, even though we never got to see it on the show.
But yeah, and that's Tendi and Rutherford are hiding in it. Well, not hiding, but they've decided to go see something that's off limits for a bit of a thrill. And I like how they're saying, "Oh, do you always come here to argue?" But ultimately, it's them that comes up with the idea that's going to save the day of we need to remove the outer hull. And this is one of those things where it's one of those where you're like, I can't believe they've not done that in Star Trek before. Like, that's such an idea.
I've been watching a few things on this, and it's not a feature that every starship can do.
Okay.
The Cerritos can do it, or the California class. It's sort of like its party piece that it can remove its entire hull. It's something like can do, and it's like for when it has to help in repairing other ships and.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. It's a good spin on it. So we always hear about the outer hull and everything, which doesn't imply there's an inner hull. And here we get to see it, and you get a really cool look at the ship once it's all stripped off. Where it's
I should have done a screenshot for us. Like, if you look at the thumbnail for this week, I have used the naked Cerritos on there.
Yeah, it looks really cool. And somebody at Eagle Moss is rubbing their hands like we can put another Cerritos out.
Well, I'll be free then, won't they? Because this is a refit anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I think I've got 3 versions of Voyager from them, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's another couple of Cerritos to milk it there. Freeman makes a big inspiring speech then, which finishes with Cerritos strong. It reminds me of the new Planet of the Apes films where it's like apes together strong. That's what it's one of those things I'm thinking, I know this reminds me of something and I just couldn't think what it reminded me of. It was that for me, definitely, but there's probably other stuff where it's something similar. And you do get a bit of a sort of tense action sequence where there's one panel left and they can't do it from the outside, so they have to do it from the inside. And we finally see Cetacean Ops, which we've talked about. And
it's been on technical plans since, 1987 with the Next Gen.
Exactly.
But this is the first time we're seeing it. It's taken them, 34 years to get out to this.
And I'm not saying I called this completely, but I want a little bit of credit. Because I think when we talked about this back in episode 1, I was joking about I want to see Darwin from Sequest DSV.
Yeah.
And we pretty much get that. I mean, we're not...
these are beluga whales. So.
The whales, not dolphins, but they're serving quite a similar purpose, really. So I'm giving myself a half point for that.
Like to be fair, this is probably one of the few shows where you can do a Cetacean Ops.
Yes.
Like, can you imagine? They could maybe do it in a movie because of movie budget, but you couldn't do a set like this as a one-off.
No, and
on live action, you'd have to make it like a main part of the show on a regular basis if you did this sort of set.
And the other thing with it is you can do it in an animation where there's a comedic tone. But this is going to look pretty silly in live action unless you do something really good, like having little whales in Starfleet uniform. It's going to look daft. Most is that you could cut it. Whereas here, it can fit in that world and you can extrapolate it in your head and go, okay, I know that they've got this on the other ships, but we don't have to see it, so we don't need the immersion by seeing how silly it is. But it's great. I love it. I love the whales.
This is one of those great episodes, but this is like one of those great scenes.
Yeah.
Like it is one of those scenes everyone has been dying to see, even if you didn't realise you'd been dying to see Cetacean Ops. As soon as you see it, you realise that you've been dying to see Cetacean Ops.
Yes, definitely. And I hope these guys stick around. I hope we see the whales again.
Yeah, Kamal and Matt.
Yeah, not least because I think there's a bit of unresolved tension with Rutherford. They definitely seem to have taken a shine to him.
Well, they seem to have taken a shine to Tandy as well.
Yeah, like they
want her to go skinny dipping with them.
Yeah, there's no time like after fixing a thing that you need to come and skinny dip. So good on them. And you do get a great sort of action sequence when Boimler's got to go down there and the whales drag him along. And obviously he does manage to release it in time and everything, and they manage to save him. So,
like that is brilliant, isn't it? Quick, his blowhole's broken.
Yes. Yeah, brilliant. But the thing is, it's funny. And it's quite surreal having the whales and everything. but it's a really good, really well done, tense action sequence. And you've got the other stuff going on, like Mariner gets detached from the ship and Jennifer saves her. And then
Ransom gets to play with his joystick.
Yes, he gets manual, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Go on with it, which, yeah.
That plays back to the season 1 episode with when Rutherford went through all the different jobs because he wasn't sure about being engineering. Ransom told him then there's nothing like the feeling of having a joystick in your hand.
There you go, yeah. And I have to say, I think Ransom's joystick is cooler than Riker's joystick because it looks a bit more modern. It's discreet, hidden under the armrest.
It's also got the display, hasn't he, in his helmet?
Yeah.
And all that, which is like Into Darkness.
Yeah.
Did it first, and then it's been done in Discovery as well.
Yeah. So I think, Ransom's winning the joystick game. Maybe him and Riker should have to have a manual off. They have a race or something. And there's a great contrast to this episode than there is to the season 1 finales. The season 1 finale, the Titan had to come in and save the Cerritos. But this episode, the Cerritos is the one doing the saving.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows how far they've come in a year's time. And
I think it's also showing like the Cerritos or the California class are basically workhorses and they go do engineering missions or scientific missions and all that. But it shows how capable they are, that they can do all sorts of things, I think we're seeing.
Yeah, definitely. And you get that in sort of the change in Freeman's attitude by the end of the episode is she's all the way through. She's saying, if I could take my crew with me, I would do. But it's not enough for her to stay. Whereas by the end of the episode, it is. And she's ready to turn down the promotion and everything. Yeah. But before we get to the big cliffhanger, there's a couple of other nice character beats. So we get the wrap up of Tendy's storyline. So Tana's actually promoting her. She's going to go up onto the bridge. So like I like it. Like Tandy goes, oh, like Jadzia Daxon. Yeah.
Tana goes, who? I meant Spock.
Yeah,
which makes sense because Dax was only on one station. Spock was like known. He was a massive ambassador, and
Spock's famous within the Star Trek universe. You know, he's pretty much a rock star, I would say, even within the context of the universe. Whereas, even though Dax was amazing, I imagine anyone who studies the Dominion Wars is going to know who Dax is. But
not quite on the same par as Spock.
No.
And I think it's a bit like if you said Scotty, people would know who Scotty was as an engineer throughout Starfleet.
The Enterprise has got to be the most famous ship ever. So, yeah, definitely. And then Jennifer and Mariner put the differences aside, and it looks like maybe she's going to become part of the main cast next year. Or, on the other hand, it wouldn't surprise me with Lower Decks if you don't see her next season and it turns out they've fallen out again and she did hate her or something.
Yeah, like, I'm still going with, I think the Vulcan from last week could end up on the Cerritos crew.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're bringing the Vulcan in and Jennifer gets elevated as well, maybe...
And Tandy's promoted to the bridge.
Maybe we're expanding our core cast, or maybe... maybe because it's Lower Decks, if Tandy's been promoted to the bridge and Mariner's on the bridge and Boimler's on the bridge, are we going to get to the stage where we're going to need a new set of Lower Decks, and that'll be the Vulcan and Jennifer and whoever? I don't know.
Well, we might have a new Lower Decks, but like the whole story might be following these four through the career.
Yeah, it could be. I think I don't think they're going anywhere, but yeah.
No, and I think they'll stick as being the main characters. And I think part of the thing that they're probably doing with Tandy is they've had her in as like a nurse. or trainee doctor. But the stories haven't really worked there for her. But if they bring her into the sciences, they're probably opening up for her to have a lot more stories.
Yeah,
to be more involved in the main story as a character.
Yeah, it creates a lot more storytelling opportunities if you put these characters in positions of more responsibility, because we've had 2 seasons now doing the downtrodden lower deck stuff. So yeah, maybe it is time to spread the wings a little bit. But then the first end of season Star Trek cliffhanger since that we've had since...
Well, we do get another nice bit before this. We actually get the Cerritos does do the first contact.
Oh, of course.
Because the Archimedes is knackered. They've been down to do first contact.
Yeah,
and Captain Freeman goes down all formal, and then he's there. Hey, welcome, let's have a drink.
Yeah, which is the kind
Which is very much like in First Contact.
Yeah, Zephyr.
Where we see Cochrane with the Vulcans straight away.
Takes them straight. To be fair, this is the kind of first contact you want. You know, you don't want weirdness. You want to just get it down for a drink, and Freeman seems to be loving it. But then, yeah, the bubbles burst because they're actually there to arrest her, and yeah, we get a traditional to be continued.
Yeah,
Pac-led planet's being destroyed, so we were wondering where the Pac-leds. Yeah. Now
I've got a theory on this. Like they're saying that they've got evidence that it's been like the Cerritos or Freeman supplying the weapons. I think when that Klingon has shot off to Kronos last week, that the Klingons, to try save face, have falsified evidence.
Maybe
they're trying to cover up what they've done, and there's obviously they'll have stuff from the view screens of the Cerritos being there, so they can show it. Probably the other way around.
Yeah,
she has, and arguably the Cerritos has had more contact with the Pac-Leds than anyone else.
Well, they definitely have, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking maybe the Pac-Leds have just blown themselves up because it's this where they've got evidence that it's Freeman. Makes me think that the Klingons have framed her. Maybe, but I think what they were doing is they were showing pictures of when she knew that spy, when they had that spy the other week. So
yeah,
I think the evidence is circumstantial, but yeah, I don't know how this is going to play out, and that shows.
Well, they've got to have some sort of quite serious evidence to go and arrest the captain off the ship.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's great to have a cliffhanger where you don't know how it's going to play out.
How long did you say it was since we've had a cliffhanger?
I was just trying to work it out. I mean, an end of season cliffhanger would it actually says to be continued. The Enterprise season 1, probably Shockwave Part 1, because there were cliffhangers. Season 2 of Enterprise finished with The Expanse, which was a cliffhanger, but it didn't say to be continued.
Yeah.
And same with season 3. So I think that must be Shockwave Part 1 must be the last
time we actually had a to be continued.
Yeah. So I'm quite happy to have that back, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a shock ending. It was a curveball ending.
And yeah, it's an old. We don't usually do to be continued on TV shows anymore because everything's serialized now. That we don't expect to get.
You expect we've got to the end of this, but there's going to be some more story.
Exactly.
And we've got the setup for the next season here, and we expect it, and that's how we watch TV. But this is quite nice to be continued. And I suppose that's part of the thing, because Lower Decks is episodic.
Exactly, yeah. So this one, it's telling you this is a 2-parter. You know, you've got to wait, and that's it. We've got to wait now for next year.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, when are they going to fit in season 3 of Lower Decks? Because we know how busy a schedule they've got.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, hopefully
Well, I'll be honest. I think we're coming round. With the 5 shows that things are going to just be annual.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
what Lower Decks started in August.
Yeah.
So it's probably reasonable to say we'll get season 3 in August.
I would guess
possibly a bit earlier.
Maybe.
Did we work out that we think it'll run? What we've got coming at the moment, we know of, runs till June.
Probably, yeah. So anyway, it'll be fun to find out. I'm sure we'll hear sooner rather than later. So let's go back in time then, and we said we'd do it last week, and it's been a happy coincidence actually. So we said we'd look at Samaritan Snare for the Packleds,
unless there was a glaring big.
But then the glaring big thing has led us to Samaritan Snare because we've got Sonia Gomez. We've already covered Q Who. So the gods of Star Trek are telling us that we had to do Samaritan Snare this week.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? Fills in with the Packleds.
Exactly. And to be honest up front, it's season 2 next gen, so don't be expecting a masterpiece if you want to go back and revisit this one. But it's not the worst of season 2 next gen. It's
not the worst. And surprisingly, this was the second, and until this week's Lower Decks, it was the last time we saw Sonia Gomez. And how she was in 2 episodes following each other, she almost seemed like she was going to become a regular sort of like Geordie's little prodigy or whatever.
Yeah, it was strange, really, that I don't know whether the actress had commitments or whether they just didn't want to go ahead with the character.
I'm not sure about the dates, but she was in Total Recall.
She was, yes.
Yeah, do you know who she was in Total Recall?
Yes, I think so. She was the lady with 3 boobies, if I remember.
Yeah, the triple-breasted prostitute.
Yeah, because that scene, I mean, obviously we all remember that scene, but I remember once we went to my granddad's house and we'd got Sky. So we used to tape him like action films and stuff like that off Sky and take them round for him. And we started watching Total Recall one morning. And then me and my mum and dad went to a car boot sale nearby. And we'd got about half an hour into Total Recall. We left my granddad watching it. We were at the car boot sale probably a couple of hours and 20-minute drive there, 20-minute drive back. And we get back and Total Recall's still on. He's not even at the end yet. And we're going, how's that happened? And it turned out he'd got to the bit with the woman with 3 boobs. And he just kept rewinding it and watching it. And so he'd only got about half an hour further into the film than when we'd left him. So, my granddad was a fan. We'll put it that way. So, so this episode then, we got 2 stories, really. We got Picard and Wesley, and we've got Geordie and the Packleds.
Yeah, and we've got Riker being absolutely rubbish.
Yeah, Riker comes out with some belters this episode.
Oh, we've pretty much established, haven't we, how we look at it, that every episode is a week from the last one. It's only 4 weeks ago they were offering this guy his own command. And he clearly shows this episode that he is not ready for command. He's bloody clueless.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff he says. But so Pulaski is ordering Picard to go to the starbase, and they've got this. I don't know what they were going for with Picard and Pulaski. Were we meant to believe that they fancied each other secretly? Or did they just genuinely hate each other? Because that's how it comes across in this one. And, I don't know what they were going for, whether they were trying to go for...
It's a strange one. I don't know what they were going for, but it's always come across that he didn't like Pulaski, and he wasn't happy on her being on his ship. He wanted Beverly back.
And we didn't like Pulaski either. We weren't happy with
No.
her in our show, and we wanted Beverly back. So, and it's, again, I know there's lots of behind-the-scenes shenanigans that went on in the first couple of seasons of TNG, and we'll never probably get the full story. But it's very suspicious that Diane Muldoon never gets added to the main credits, even though she's in every season. To all intents and purposes, she's a regular cast member, but she's always listed as special appearance by.
Yeah.
And it's like she knew that she were on borrowed time with this.
Yeah, I'm only here for one season.
Yeah, there's definitely more to that.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, like, we've talked about this before, haven't we, when we looked at season 2 episodes? And she rubbed us up as fans the wrong way straight away when how she didn't like Data and he's just a robot. And
yeah, and I think it was trying to do the Bones and Spock thing.
Yeah,
you always knew Bones were joking, whereas I don't think Pulaski is.
No, I've never had that impression. And Data obviously isn't just a robot.
Yeah, exactly. There's some good stuff we like, going back to Sonia. So Wesley's worried that he's not going to have anything to talk to Picard about. And Sonia actually gives him some good advice. And she's like, well, he likes archaeology. He likes this. He likes that.
Yeah.
And so it's quite cool that you've got, she's a lower decker at this stage. But Wesley's even lower than the lower. It's great that she gets to give him some advice. And you end up with them, they're in a shuttle. Shall we deal with the Wesley and Picard stuff and then go back?
Yeah.
It's very kind of fragmented and broken up and everything. And it's obviously leading to Picard telling Wesley about his artificial heart. But it's quite weird, really, because Picard sort of starts off telling him about it, and he's like, oh, well, I've got this theory. And then he's just like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. And you're like, he must know how nervous Wesley is in this situation.
Yeah, and he's not doing anything to help, is he?
No, it's like he's setting him up. He's going, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Oh, can I ask you about that, Captain? No, you can't. And he must be making Wesley feel terrible the way he does it. But then Wesley doesn't help himself either, because he's got this whole thing of, so why don't you have kids, Picard? You'd have been a good father. Why, hang on, that's a bit personal, Wesley.
It's a bit personal, and it's actually been quite well established that Picard doesn't like children.
Exactly.
Wesley saw it first hand. Get him off my bridge.
Yeah, Wesley, the famous.
Yeah.
I get the feeling, though, that what Wesley's saying, really, he's saying, I think you'd have been a good dad. I think what he's really saying is, I want you to be my dad, Captain. He clearly wants Picard to be his father figure.
Yeah, I don't mind if you're moving on me, man.
Yeah, you've got permission.
Yeah.
And I think they would have developed it a bit, but I think if Wesley had stuck around longer than he did, beyond season 4, that'd have been the long-term story that they tell. He also, he carries on. He goes like, "Why did you never get married? Like, calm down." But then Wesley comes out.
But then again, he's still a kid, isn't he? And it's sort of like one of these things that it's sort of like people get married.
Yeah, true. And then Wesley comes out with a belter, and he says, "Oh, I'm in complete control where women are concerned." Really, Wesley? Really? You get that idea then from that woman you had who turned into a fish? Like, I'm not sure, Wesley, that you are completely in control. Like, well, I fell in love with this woman and she had this guardian who turned into a big bear thing or something, I'm not sure, Wesley. Then he does tell the story about his heart. And this is either Picard's fibbing to make the story better, or we changed our mind before we got to Tapestry. Because the way Picard tells it, he's basically, he don't mention anything about Dom Jot and cheating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He basically makes it sound like, we're mouthing off and these Nausicaans started with it.
Well, maybe he doesn't mind admitting to mouthing off, but he does mind admitting to, we were cheating. Because that sort of goes very much against what Picard's about. Yeah,
it could be, modifying the story to teach Wesley a better lesson.
Yeah.
And I like the bit where he's quite proud of himself. Like he says, I got him in a somewhat devious joint lock. Like, you can imagine it like it's a wrestling thing, like Picard with the somewhat devious joint lock. But he does mention laughing, which is
picked up in Tapestry, which is really clever.
Yeah, that's really good.
Like, I wonder if they had the story in mind of Tapestry to come up with later,
or if not, the person who watched this episode and picked that little detail and went, "He's laughing. What can I do with that? How can I make that come in?" And I'll give I'll come up with the reason, but I'll give you another reason why he's laughing, and it'll be really clever. Yeah, so whoever did that, brilliant work. And I don't mind that they changed the story a little bit to make it better. And so they get to the starbase. Picard's going in for this operation and everything. And then he starts dying, which means they need to call Pulaski in anyway. So it was all a big waste of time because we find out Pulaski could have done it back on the ship.
Yeah, and Pulaski's the actual expert on this operation.
Yeah. And you do see, though, they've got the artificial heart in a big jar that they're going to put in. And you look at it, that is bigger than a human heart.
Yeah.
That's going to take up his entire chest cavity.
Yeah.
Like, there's not going to be any room for his lungs or anything else in there if you put that sucker in.
Maybe it's just magnified in the glass.
There we go. We'll have that. Yeah. So, we'll let that one go. And that's about it for their story then. So there's some nice stuff with Picard and Wesley and everything. And
yeah, they have a bit of a chat and Picard opens up to Wesley eventually.
And it's a nice mirror to Wesley's last episode, Journey's End, because it's Picard and Wesley in a shuttle together again. So there's a nice bit of symmetry with that. So, don't mind that at all. And then we get the other story, which is the Pack-Leds. And obviously, Lower Decks has done what DS9 did for the Ferengi. They took a silly villain. They made him into a brilliant, multi-level, nuanced species, and obviously Lower Decks is doing that with the Pack-Leds. They've rehabilitated them a little bit. Obviously,
like it's hard because they are shown as being stupid for
which
want of a better word.
What Lower Decks has done brilliantly. He's just taken that and gone, it's stupid, but we're going to run with it, and we're going to make it. Which is fantastic. Because there wouldn't have been anybody complaining if we never saw the Pack-Leds again after this.
No, like, there's a lot that was wrong with the Pack-Leds. As the whole premise of what they were doing, like, okay, they got away with it against a Starfleet vessel. But if you did that to a Romulan or a Klingon, they'd just blow them up.
Yeah, exactly. They're lucky they got the Federation, really. And this is the thing about Riker this episode. Clearly, he doesn't like the Pack-Leds because they're stupid, which, first of all, that's not very infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Just because someone's not that intelligent doesn't mean they're a bad person and doesn't mean we should treat them badly. But Riker is openly, from the very start, taking the piss out of them while they're on the view screen. He's not even doing it as an aside. Just like, what's these guys' problem? He's having absolutely none of it. But
like, Worf is brilliant here because Geordi goes, "Oh, I'll get my stuff and I'll beam over and fix it." And Worf goes, hang on. And rightly so, we don't know anything about this species, really.
Yeah.
We don't know what the motivation is.
Mm.
We don't know if they're lying or deceitful. And we're going to just beam our chief engineer over there.
Yeah, exactly. With no support, we won't send any security.
Yeah.
Kirk could have had a couple of red shirts with him.
Well, that's it. Why has he got no one else with him? Just gone on his own.
Yeah, crazy.
And Riker's like, no, it's our job to give aid, so I'm sending Geordi over. Well, no, your chief of security has given you a valid reason why you shouldn't be, or at least you should be sending someone over there with him. And you've just gone, no, I'm sending my chief engineer.
And that's it. Like, maybe it is because Riker has such a low opinion of them that he can't possibly engage with the idea that there might be a threat. But again, I know the language that we use to describe people with learning difficulties and things like that has changed over the years. And so some of this is probably of the time it was made. But I'm still thinking from a Starfleet officer's perspective, he calls them slow. He calls them curious throwbacks. It's like, really, Riker? We're going a bit over the top here.
Well, that's it. And all he's had is one minute conversation with them.
Yeah.
Like, that's Worf's whole point. No, we don't actually know anything about them.
No.
This could be a dangerous situation that we're sending our chief engineer into on his own, unprotected.
It kind of turns out to be a little bit of a dangerous situation. I mean, not a hugely dangerous one, but Troy turns up and does the usual, I can sense something.
I can sense deceit.
And yeah, Geordi's in danger. We've got to do something about that. And you do get some good lines from
But there again, Riker totally ignores her. He gets on the thing to Geordi. Is everything okay over there? Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So your chief of security and your telepath have both told you there's potential problems there, and you're ignoring both of them and still leaving your chief engineer in danger.
Yeah, like Geordi says, I'm not in danger, but Geordi doesn't know that's the point. You know, if he knew he was in danger, you'd have known by now. You can't just go, is everything all right? Yeah, that's fine. He could be under duress for all you know.
Yeah. Like, let's not forget that, like, even though Riker spoke to the Packlids on the view screen, by the time Geordi's over there, he can only use his communicator.
Yeah.
So they could have a phaser to Geordi's head.
Yeah, a Romulan phaser probably, because that's what they raise Romulan shields after they've stunned Geordi.
And this is my point. How did they steal off the Romulans? If they did this with the Romulans would have just blown them up.
Yeah, and
the Romulans wouldn't have been bothered about getting the chief engineer back either in the same way. They'd have just blown them up with the chief engineer over there. Imagine. But the Romulans probably wouldn't have sent the chief engineer.
No, they wouldn't. The Romulans would have known as soon as they saw the Packlids who they were and probably just blown them up on sight, never mind anything else. But yeah, so we end up with Geordi. Geordi's trapped over there, and the Packlids are now going on about they want him to make weapons. And Troy gives us the insight. It's all been a big setup. Like, yeah, it's quite obvious now, but maybe she's doing that for Riker's benefit rather than ours. She's like, look, can you see? Told you.
Yeah.
A big setup.
Riker is in command here. Like, even as a first officer, I wouldn't expect a first officer doing this.
No.
Let alone someone who's in the acting captain's role.
To give Riker his due, he's not usually this rubbish. Like, he's usually much better written than this. And he's usually far, far more capable. But yeah, he definitely drops a few clangers this time. Geordi gets shot again. And they've decided now that what they want is the Enterprise records, the Enterprise's computer records. And then you get this really bizarre scene where Riker decides we're going to give Geordi a coded message. And they just start saying 24 all the time. Like,
yeah.
You will not attain level 24 of enlightenment. It's level 24. And it clearly they're trying to convey something. It seems to take Geordi a bit too long to twig that there's something, something unusual going on here. And again, Riker, he gives a little bit, but it's Worf mainly who hammers it home with all this. You will not attain the enlightenment. But what did 24 have to do with it, other than the fact that they do a countdown from 24?
Well,
I thought it was going to be like you've got to set the shields to frequency 24.
Yeah,
something like that.
It's just really strange.
But they just keep going 24. Remember, Geordi, 24.
Yeah.
24 seconds will do this.
You won't reach the 24th level of enlightenment.
And I thought it's got to be shield modulation or phasers or, but no, it's just we're going to do a countdown from 24 for some random reason. So that doesn't make sense. That makes you wonder if that got lost in a script revision or a deleted scene somewhere or something. But it's very, very strange. And you'd think usually with Star Trek, when you use a random number, it's 47. So they're not even doing the Star Trek usual numbers. But they try and add a little bit of tension to it by giving it a deadline. Like, Picard's going to die, so we need to sort out the Pac-Led thing, then go to him. So it tries to ramp up a bit of the tension, but I think the Pac-Leds are just that lame that there's no real sense of danger in this episode. But I mean, when they come out with classics like, oh, he is smart, teeth are for chewing, which is great because Lower Decks has kept the consistency with how they're portrayed. That they don't.
Yeah, like Lower Decks has made the Pac-Leds a really good species.
Yeah, they're funny now. I mean, they were mildly amusing here, but I think the episode probably takes them a bit too seriously than they deserve, whereas Lower Decks has pitched them at the right level and used them the way they should.
Yeah, and like, as we found out, it was the Klingons who gave them all the weapons. They haven't been pulling this stunt on everyone.
No, exactly. But even like the ship design in this is just a bog standard ship. But what we're seeing in Lower Decks is clearly they've nicked bits from different people and put it together, and it looks great. Which, in Next Gen and DS9, they weren't afraid of doing a bit of kick bashing, particularly when they needed a Federation ship.
Well, DS9 did it a lot.
Yeah. Whereas you've got this ship here, which should be a kit bash of everything else we've seen, and it isn't. It's, I think it might be a reuse of another ship, but
I'm not sure.
It's clearly just one thing.
Like, the strange thing is as well, like, when they scan it, they say it's only got sublight engines, so how have they got into deep space without warp?
Yeah. And like you say, how have they nicked stuff off the Romulans? But anyway, then they use the Crimson Force Field, which we find out obviously is just a light show and everything.
Yeah, it's just expelling the hydrogen back out through the Buzzard collectors.
Which is almost like.
I wonder if that's what it is, because Geordi says I'll get stuff going, and I wonder if he knows that. You'll have if that 24 is, you'll have 24 seconds once we start to shut them down.
Could be.
So it looks like, because their power goes down, doesn't it, when the Crimson Force Field hits them?
Yeah, maybe. If so, they don't really land it the way.
No.
the way you would expect. But anyway, they trick the pack leads and they save the day, so that's okay. And Picard gets back, they give him a round of applause, and he's not happy about it. And
No,
he's not,
rightly so.
yeah.
They shouldn't have given him a round of applause.
No. And he's not happy about Pulaski being the one to save him either. So he's generally not happy, Picard, at the end of this episode.
He is actually, because he does announce that Wesley has done well in his exams and be allowed to stay on board the Enterprise.
Yes, very true. So at least Wesley is out of the episode better than
so Wesley has done well in his exams to be a cadet, so can stay on the Enterprise. Does that mean he's not done well enough to go to the Academy?
Could do, yeah. Or maybe it's like a thing of, okay, if you're out on a ship, we need you to prove that you're getting enough of the curriculum to keep it. Otherwise, you need to come and be classroom based. So maybe it's that, or like you say, maybe it's punishment. Anyway, I mean, it's not the worst season 2 episode.
No, it's not. Like, as we said, it's got the Packlets, which Lower Decks have taken and run with and made into a great species, and I enjoy the Packlet episodes. And even though I thought the season finale would be a Packlet episode, and it wasn't. We did get a little bit right at the end, but I think Lower Decks have got them as the big bad in Lower Decks, but they're not in every episode and being overused.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously we're going to get the payoff to that next season.
Yeah.
So that's going to be good fun if as and when we actually get it.
I think maybe June, July next year.
Yeah. In terms of what we're doing then, next week on the podcast, you're going to get the episode that we recorded as part of Squeefest, which is us talking about Endgame from Voyager as a final bit of a lead up to Prodigy. Next week on the live feed, we're going to record a one-off episode where Dr. Squeeze convinced us to finally talk about the last episode of Enterprise. And we're teaming that up with Pegasus from TNG for obvious reasons. If you don't know the reasons, you're going to be really disappointed.
You've got all week to watch them both to find out.
Yeah, and if you don't know what the last episode of Enterprise is, enjoy it. And we'll be talking about that. That episode will turn up in the podcast feed eventually.
At some point.
We don't know when, so we've got too much new Star Trek coming.
It'll probably be when we're on holidays when it'll get released.
Yes, probably. And but the video will be available on the YouTube channel. You can also check out Elliot's Retrek Model Studios, where he's got some incredible stuff going on with the Voyager model at the minute.
I'm drilling out windows at the moment.
Oh, there's a lot of windows on Voyager.
154 on the engineering hull.
Oh, no.
I haven't even looked how many on the saucer yet.
So this is the problem when you decide you're going to light all your models. You need to drill them all out. If you just you could just... anyway.
Yeah, but it's going to look good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the amount of work you're putting in, you need to drill them out. So
yeah, if no one's seen it on Retrek Model Studios, I've motorized the cells.
Yeah.
So I have them going into warp or back into impulse,
which takes a bit of doing, especially when you consider how tiny that. Not a tiny model, but the space you've got to work with to make it do that is tiny.
It fit a 3 mil piece of tubing in it, just.
There you go. Follow Elliot's building of Voyager. Check out Retrek Model Studios. If you want to get in touch with us, you can tweet us at RetrekPod.
I have a little bit of news as well. It's just a follow-up to last week about Chakotay being back in.
Oh, yeah.
On IMDb, he's in all 10 episodes of Prodigy he's going to be in, as are all his crew. So God knows what's happening there.
Oh, no. That's just put me off. I don't know if I want to cover Prodigy.
Yeah, so like God knows how it's going to work.
No, but we know sometimes IMDb lies. So
yeah,
maybe.
like they've listed Chakotay, and I can't remember
the crew's name.
The crew's names at this point. That with him, and we don't know what ship he's on.
Oh well, thanks. All I'll say is it's a good thing we didn't know this before, because we'd have had to do more Chakotay episodes. And
he's down for being in all 10 episodes. I wonder if like I said last week, I thought he'd be in one and he's lost to Prodigy. I wonder if he's a Starfleet ship that's been sent to the Delta Quadrant to look for the Prodigy.
Maybe.
And we'll just get a little clip of them every week and sort of trying to pick up the trail and stuff.
Can you imagine it? Like, if you were Chakotay, you finally get back to the Alpha Quadrant. We're promoting you to captain, but you're off back to Delta Quadrant.
Delta Quadrant.
No. Anyway, so email us, retrekpod@gmail.com. Come and join us on Facebook. And we'll see you next time to talk. Or the next time we'll be recording and doing the podcast at the same time. We're going to be talking about a brand new show. We're going to be talking about Prodigy.
Prodigy, starts a week tomorrow on Paramount Plus. I haven't got Sky myself, but I understand if you've q or if you've got Sky Q, you're going to be able to watch Prodigy straight away. But you can also through the Sky Q hub sign up on for Paramount Plus now. They've done a deal with Sky.
Right. Okay.
It's not going to be on Nickelodeon until all 10 episodes have been shown.
Right.
So Paramount Plus or Sky in the UK have got Prodigy. It's getting on. It's in too many different places.
Let us know in the comments how you've managed to watch Prodigy and give us clear instructions on how to do it, because this is going to be fun. But thanks for trekking with us this time. We will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Bye-bye.